Welcome
Action.
to the Reserve Pour, where we uncover stories behind our favorite sips. I'm one of your hosts, Martinez, joined alongside
Gary.
And Lawson.
Welcome to our show. So today's sip is brought to you by our delicious old fashions. Once again, thanks Lawson for preparing this.
Awesome, man.
Links
Good
in
job.
the comments below.
Yeah, actually, so today we're going to start doing a disclaimer. So, welcome to the Reserve Pour podcast. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the host and guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the United States Army, the Department of Defense, or any government agency or private organizations. We are not medical or legal professionals. The information shared on this podcast is intended for entertainment purposes only.
So
That was a mouthful.
it was a mouthful, but you know what? That last bit really stuck with me. How we are not medical professionals, and this is for entertainment purposes only, because I believe the moral of the theme of our episode today is going to be exercise and activities, adventures, something along those lines. And we definitely had an experience that we'll get into later, where medical advice offered by some of ours, may or may not have been the best.
Yeah, especially expired in 2 different states.
Which makes it legal in the state of New Jersey. So,
Yeah, we could talk about this later because,
It's a lot to uncover.
oh yeah.
So, adventures, guys, huh?
Adventures. So, what type of adventures have you been on that has really stuck with you?
or you know what? Before we dive into adventures, why don't we come up with a definition for an adventure? What makes it an adventure?
So, I would like to point out what you said initially, right? It's something that sticks out, right? Like it's something notable, something that it'll forever be in your mind, right? Regardless. I mean, you can do some fun activities, but not necessarily they stick with you, right?
Mhm.
I guess for all of us, maybe boot camp was an adventure, right? Because it's one of those conversations I feel like Army-wide is like, oh, where you go to boot camp?
I feel like that's an experience.
An experience?
So-
Okay.
so how about
Yeah,
this?
Yeah.
According to the dictionary,
There you go.
Oxford Languages, adventure as a
All
noun.
rights reserved.
Yeah.
Adventure as a noun, an unusual and exciting, typically hazardous experience or activity, right?
Okay.
Or as a verb, engage in hazardous and exciting activity, especially the exploration of unknown territory. Ooh,
So before getting into that, that was not my intention of the key word in both those definitions being hazardous.
Wow.
I felt fun or outside the normal, like, hey, let's go to the beach type of adventure. That's the more I was going with. So
oh,
Yeah.
so you're not gonna
I like the hazardous.
dance upon the hazardous part, right?
I do
it
like
wasn't
the
my
hazardous.
intention.
All right. So before we
Yeah.
get into our hazardous adventure,
Right. Our hazardous adventure.
so Martinez, tell us about an adventure that you've had, whether it was as a child or an adult. Or a teen.
Army or civilian. You know.
Yeah, Army, civilian.
So yeah, recently I had an adventure, and now thinking back at it, it was a little hazardous. So I rode my bike from down in Orlando area to where we're at, right? In Beaumont, Texas.
Bike as in bicycle?
Oh, motorcycle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sheesh, that would take a good week.
At least one day.
Please.
So in total, it was a little over 900 miles, right? I broke it up into 2 days. I have been riding for a little bit, but never long distance. Maybe the most, maybe 2-hour ride, at most. So to take on this adventure of 900 miles, I had to prepare, right? So I bought rain gear. which Lawson you came out with me and looked at some stuff. I bought boot covers. I bought the pants, the top. I did get a helmet that day too, right? Yeah, I think I got the new helmet.
You got the new belt.
I got the new helmet, yes, because I got the Cardo pack to go totally non-sponsored. To put on so be on the phone or to listen to music. I was riding with AirPods, but within 2 hours, maybe 3 hours at most, they die, right? So I'm not gonna pull over and do all of that. It was quite an adventure. I went through torrential downpours. I had the flood alerts for the area that I was at. I think it was more towards the north part of Florida when I hit the storms. I was going into the Panhandle.
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, it was definitely an adventure. Like I said, I broke it down into two legs. So the first day I did about 8.5 hours, 9 hours. Because my gas tank holds about, 2.5 gallons, I think.
Okay.
I do about 100 miles at a time. And so, stop, fill up, along those stops, use the bathroom, have something to drink, something to eat, stretch out my legs, and then continue on, to the next 100 miles. So it definitely took longer because of those miles, of those stops, right?
Okay.
I think I prepared well enough. I rented a room in Pensacola, I think it was. It was close. Yeah, it was right at the border of Mobile, Alabama. My brother had said, don't do Mobile because it's a little racist. So, try to, if you can avoid it, try to avoid it. So it was either right before it or after Mobile. So, I opted for the Pensacola. So I stayed in a hotel there, spent the night, got some decent rest, some good food. And then the next day I did the last leg. It took me another 8 hours and change, I think. And I got here to Beaumont. I was tired as hell.
Mm-hmm.
I did, once I got here, I already had my room and everything. So I checked in and I took a nice long shower and I was out for the next 2 days. Honestly, I was exhausted. It was a long ride.
So let me ask you, along your travels, as part of your adventure, how was it driving on these interstates or freeways with trucks, tractor trailers, and regular vehicles? For the most part, most people aren't paying attention to motorcycles. Did anything out there on the road scare you?
So that's another reason why I kept it to the two portions or the two legs of my trip, because I didn't want to ride at the nighttime. Just like you said, people usually don't pay attention to motorists or motorcyclists. So I wanted to take off that hazard, right? I didn't want it to be that adventurous. So I rode very early in the morning, all the way until right about sunset. That's when I checked into the hotel. As far as being scared, I did pretty good. I was cruising, open highways. Once you get interstate, what most of them do 75 miles an hour, so it definitely, it definitely is, a little faster speeds, right? So you
no ass puckering experiences?
No, not that I can remember, honestly. Everything went pretty smooth.
Okay.
I did hit a couple of bits and pieces of traffic, and I may not white line a little bit, to avoid those sections.
Right.
So,
the law requires that you answer that you did not, in fact, white line.
Yes. So yes,
You considered white lining, but you didn't actually do it.
correct.
The law.
But again, I didn't drive at night. I wanted to take the very minimal risk with it, within the limits.
Cool.
All right, that's fair. So, Gary, any notable adventures you want to?
Yeah. This is going to be very different from here, from his Martinez's story. So back in high school, living out on Long Island, suburbs of Long Island, right? Didn't get a chance to really venture into New York City very often unless it was to visit family. So a buddy of mine, we were at the time, this was like in the 80s. And that's when 42nd Street in New York City and the hookers and, little porn shops and everything, those little peep shows, were up and going.
Some of them still exist, but we're not going to talk about that.
Well, they here and there. But we decided to take a drive out in this little friggin' 1970, 78 Toyota Corolla, to go to 42nd Street to go see the hookers. So we drove out there and we rode up and down the street and, we saw some hookers.
Yeah.
So I started talking to one of these hookers.
Naturally.
And naturally. And she was like, well, what do you want? And I'm like, well, what do you got? What do you going to give? So she's like, well, I'll give you a blowjob for about $20, and anything more, the price goes up.
Right.
So I looked at my buddy. He was just like, listen, man, I'll get out of the car. You do what you got to do. So this is a little embarrassing, but I decided to get $20 blowjob. Right. So.
Like an escapade.
So this is happening. Whatever. My buddy's standing outside waiting or whatever. Finally, it gets done. Right. We get in the car.
2 seconds later.
We get in the car, right? And we get out of there, right? Start heading down home. An hour to drive back home to Long Island. And I realize, I look at my wallet and my money is gone.
Oof.
All my money in my wallet's gone. So I'm just like, yo, we got to go back. I got to go find this bitch. I went back to try to find this girl, try to find this fucking whore, and of course I wasn't gonna find her, of course, and drove around. Needless to say, I didn't get my money back. I didn't find anybody. I got a blowjob.
That was an expensive blowjob. Huh?
It was a very expensive blowjob at the time for a kid in high school, making fucking $6 an hour or whatever it was. So I went back home with my tail between my legs, and you know what? That was my adventure.
Lesson learned, right?
Lesson learned, exactly. Don't get a hooker.
Wow. So, Lawson.
Yeah. It's a very powerful message you have to...
I hope my family's not listening.
Well, in case they are, we're going to just pretend
I apologize.
that whole thing never happened.
Okay.
So, for me personally, I've been... born and raised in New York City. Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx occasionally. So adventures don't really happen as the definition goes, very often.
Could be anything though.
Oh no, it can be. I'm not saying I haven't had harrowing experiences. We've all done things we rather not talk about or should not talk about, Gary. But for me, adventures, I'm being born in the city. I like going into nature. I like hiking. I like going seeing sights. I'll go to the park and just walk through the trails. For me, that's a nice thing. But an adventure that I think I would like to talk about, which can relate a little bit later, also is due to our particular job within the military. We were able to go to Hawaii for a couple of weeks at a time.
Oh, nice.
Hawaii, and I know people go there on vacation, which can be an adventure of sort. But we got there, we went to Hawaii, we got paid to go to Hawaii. That's a key bit right there. Mm-hmm. Ooh, beautiful time.
It was beautiful.
And we went up, I believe it's called Diamond Head Trail. And there's a couple of beautiful mountain trails in Hawaii, but Diamond Head, we went. And it was pretty steep in some parts, but when you get to the top of that mountain, that view, it's just all around you. It's nothing but blue skies.
It's breathtaking.
And yeah, it was breathtaking, but because, back at that point in time, a couple years ago, when I was still doing cardio, it was still breathtaking. So
Literally,
yeah,
that hike was no joke.
Literally.
it was just stairs on stairs on stairs. I think we went through 2 separate bunkers or gun positions, even just how it was set up. But it was a very nice. It was a good experience.
How high were you? Do you know the elevation?
At that point in time, I didn't think to check elevation. I was just like, I was taking it all in.
Was that the same one that I did? Because I did. From what I remember, the trail that I did was called Pillbox Trail, or
we were supposed to do Pillbox, but
Okay.
we ended up staying at the beach every other day instead.
yes.
So we wanted to go to Pillbox.
Okay.
Pillbox was still very steep, was still very high up in the mountains, to my understanding. But
Yeah.
we went to Diamond Head State Park.
I do have a picture of the altitude when I was, I think at the second. It was the same thing like you were saying. The little structure, whatever it is.
At the top, the summit.
Yeah, no, but the concrete structure.
Okay. So as we were climbing up, we went into the mountain, and there was one there. Then at the top of the mountain, there was a second one that we ended up coming up on. That was
Nice.
the whole viewpoint.
Okay.
And it was
Yeah.
nice. Beautiful experience.
Nice.
But just Hawaii in general, I felt like it was a whole adventure. The whole time we were there, a couple
Oh,
of weeks.
absolutely.
One point that I do want to bring up is, Hawaii is a chain of islands.
Hmm.
So naturally, the native wildlife is going to be limited to the, typical things you could find, like birds, maybe some seafaring animals, but of importance, you're not going to find many reptiles such as snakes there.
Right.
However, we do have this one friend of ours, one companion, who we were staying in pretty decent hotels at the time. We were staying on, I believe, Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor, yeah.
At least one half of the Pearl Harbor Navy base there. And, we're all in our rooms at night, and then we just get this text. Hey, there's a snake in my bed.
Oh my
I need
God.
help.
Fuck, man.
Oh, yeah. So hear me out. Mind you, if we go back, I could pull up these pictures, and I'll show you. Our companion, he was in bed, tucked up to his chin, just in bed, like paranoid. He called somebody else, and they came in, put him out in the room.
First of all, what kind of fucking snake?
Oh, wait till you find out. So they make a whole big deal. People are coming into the room looking for this snake. Mind you, in Hawaii, there's no native snake in Hawaii.
Oh,
So they call potentially animal control. They have them online. They have the MPs coming into the room.
Holy shit.
So this is where we get the picture. We see the MP in the room. They pull back the sheet, and guess what type of snake was in the bed with him?
Like a garden snake?
His extension cord.
Oh my God.
Are you fucking serious, bro?
Bro.
Yeah, there was
Like-
his extension cord that he plugged in so he could have his phone charging in bed. And he thought it was a snake.
What up?
And that's an adventure. That's not something you're gonna see every day either. Like have police.
Thought he might have been
coming in.
holding his snake in his hand or something
Oh,
like
no,
that,
no.
or whatever.
It touched his leg and he was just
The
shook.
fuck?
He is originally from Ghana, I believe he's from.
Okay.
Assistant district attorney type.
Wow. You don't know what a snake and a cord feels like?
If you don't get that reference, you don't get that reference.
Well,
But
I know. But
so yeah, he crawled into bed, and he put his leg out. I'm gonna guess, and the extension cord hit him, and he thought it was a snake.
Oh
Called a
my
bunch of
God.
people, called the MPs, and mind you, we have pictures, and it was just the extension cord in his bed.
That's wild.
So that's an adventure for you.
Sheesh.
damn.
You don't see that at Disney.
Well, yeah, we won't talk about what we see in Disney.
Yeah. Anyway.
But on the topic of adventures, we recently had our own adventure, huh?
Mm-hmm.
With all of us involved.
So
First of all, I thought when we went to Carson, Carson
where's that at?
and in Colorado,
Okay.
and we went to Pikes Peak,
Okay.
I thought that would have been an adventure being so fucking high, like the highest point in the United States, right?
Correct.
12,000
Yep.
feet, right? And almost passing the fuck out when I got to the top, right? And it was
Yes.
fucking freezing cold when we got there.
Yes, it
But
was.
this fucking deal that we just went through recently fucking surpassed that. I think I would have rather passed the fuck out, because then I would have fucking been rescued and went down the mountain.
You know, Pikes Peak, yeah, although gorgeous, right? But we didn't do any of the hiking. Plus, yes, the trails were closed because it was like the middle
wintertime.
of
Snowed out?
winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was snowed out, so
Okay.
it was completely closed. So even if you did wanted to, I think you weren't even allowed to. So that took some of the adventure, I would think, right? Getting to like the highest point and then seeing it, whatever.
Yeah, and walking around up there and
Yeah.
for the
I
moment.
mean, at least you guys were still able to go there and see some.
Totally.
something at least.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was nice. But yeah, this adventure that recently happened
Mhm.
definitely takes the definition of adventure quite literal, right? Because it is definitely.
all right.
serious.
So let's start.
Before we do
What?
start on that, I
Yeah.
still would just like to point out, because it does lead into why we even went on this adventure. Like I said before, I am from this area. I do like going out, doing nature. I do like hiking. I've hiked in upstate New York.
Okay.
But due to, again, the nature of our job, we do travel a lot, like to Hawaii.
We went to Riley, right? Was it Riley? Kansas. Yeah.
We went to Kansas, Fort
Yeah,
Riley,
we did-
Kansas, and we
that-
did
that
hiking
trail.
trails there.
Okay.
And I went to Washington, in Tacoma, and I've hiked Mount Rainier,
Nice.
and beautiful scenery there too. While we were overseas, maybe not you, but I personally went and I did a lot of the forest trails. We did a lot of hiking, so
Yeah.
I do enjoy going out hiking.
Yeah.
So while we were in El Paso recently, we decided that, you know what, we have a day off. The skies are clear, no rain. Let's
It
go.
was a beautiful day.
Beautiful day.
Yeah.
Well, let's go for a hike.
We got plenty of time to go on a 2-3 hour hike, we said, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Plenty of sunlight.
being fair, we were supposed to go on that hike hours before we actually went on the hike. But
True.
All right. So regardless, I mean,
Yeah, we still had a decent time.
Mhm.
Amount of
I
time
mean,
of
listen.
hours.
Prior to, I made sure like I'm wearing my boots. I got my cargo shorts on. I got my boonie. I got like
What's a boonie
water.
for those who don't
my
know?
boonie hat. It's a boonie
Which
hat
is-
that looks like from Gilligan's Island, like
Like
a
a bucket hat type
skipper hat.
deal?
Yeah, bucket hat or whatever.
All right.
You
Like
know
a
what
sun
I'm saying?
hat.
Like a,
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever. I got my water. I got protein bars in my backpack. I got my friggin'.
It's foreshadowing.
I got my lamp. I got like.
all right, let's talk about what this trail is for you to be so prepared. What's the name of this trail?
1,000 steps.
1,000-step trail. Okay.
All right. So
What made you want to be so prepared?
just the idea of it. I knew that we were probably going to be going hot. It's hot outside. The elevation, we're going to, going up a mountain. And it wasn't like a trail in a forest, right?
Like a
but I
paved
just still
trail.
wanted to be prepared. I wanted to make sure I had enough water and just something, right, to sustain us while we were there.
Okay.
All right. And I'm glad we all thought about the same thing, right?
And here I am. I just
Oh,
came with
fuck.
sunglasses.
And sneakers.
I mean, for the record, while Gary's talking about it, I also, from experience, again, I do like going hiking. Even in Virginia, I went hiking. When I was in school, we weren't supposed to be going anywhere. We went hiking.
Right.
So I made sure to bring extra bottles of water. I brought some electrolyte powder to put into the water. I brought sunscreen. I didn't bring anything to eat, like, protein bars or nothing, because, I didn't go shopping, but I at least wore boots, a hat, and glasses to go hiking.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean,
So
yeah.
So
here
some
we-
of us were prepared,
Yeah, some of us were prepared.
I was prepared.
I would say,
relatively.
I would say 2 out of 5 were prepared for the most part because everybody was wearing fucking sneakers, right?
No, 2 people wore sneakers.
And we had to carry their water.
3 people.
You know what I'm saying?
Whoa,
didn't
halfway.
Anyway, the only thing they brought was fucking suntan lotion. But was that you?
Which was
That was in the
It was-
car.
Okay.
Plus,
I
yeah,
brought it and I
okay.
carried
It
it.
doesn't
with me.
matter.
Oh yeah.
Listen, we get there. We read the sign. There's an historic site. A plane crashed into the side of the mountain
bomber.
years before that,
Bomber,
1950s or whatever. Oh, I was like, okay, here we are. Standing at this sign, there's two trails. The left trail and the right trail.
The left trail was like a slight slope, and then the right trail was like a steeper slope.
It was like 50 degrees.
Yeah,
It was,
still,
e-
like,
it just seemed like easier to access, right? The other one seemed
No,
like
it did
off in
not.
the distance, right? No?
So how it worked is on the left side, that trail was the bypass route. So on the right hand side where the actual trail was, and mind you, we looked at it on the map, we looked at it on Google Maps, we looked at it on these trail apps. So, but one of the apps that I've used whenever I do go hiking is, I'm not gonna say the name, but on that app it showed, hey, you got to go to the right.
Okay.
So every trail pointed to the right. But
Right.
mind you, that's a 50-degree incline, which sounds nothing. But when you look at it and that it's like 20 feet high at 50 degrees, it's a pretty steep climb you have to go through.
Yeah.
However, we knew for a definite, hey, to the right is the way we need to go.
Right.
But to the left, after we huffed and puffed our way to the top of that trail, we realized that left path was the bypass around that steep little climb we just took.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Afterwards, hindsight 2020.
And yes. But yeah, so here we are. We are huffing and puffing by the time we get to the
Huffing and
end.
puff's not even a word. Jesus. Oh, fuck.
And it
Bent
was just,
over like...
It was just starting.
yeah.
The start of the trail.
Yeah.
But after that, it was like a slight incline.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
slight
was-
incline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some bits had a little bit steeper,
Right.
a little bit more treacherous footing.
Yes,
Very good
yeah,
photo
yeah, yeah.
ops, though.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
You
Like
get to
all of-
overlook
like,
all of El Paso,
and
a
the
little
border.
bit up to the border of
Right.
Mexico and the mountains in Mexico. I think
Yeah.
we actually saw the cross on the mountain at that
Yes.
point in time,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a clear day. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
No
I mean,
clouds, just straight sun.
and even the trail was like somewhat established, I guess. It was like,
Marked
you know,
and-
like,
yeah.
I
Which
can't
we
think of
found out later,
Right.
up after, our experiences, that it was apparently built by the engineers located at
Fort Bliss.
Fort Bliss in El Paso a couple years ago. I think like a decade or two ago.
At least that the sign said something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But please continue.
Yeah, but I mean, it was somewhat established. But I mean, by the time we got to was the 1,000 steps at that first little structure. Was
So-
that the
so-
actual 1,000 steps? Because I don't think it was, right?
So how it is, as we
I
were
felt like
climbing,
it.
as we were climbing up the mountain, it was kind of established. There was a lot of loose rocks, but there were some times where the trail kind of sort of narrowed down or almost disappeared, and we saw it kept going ahead. So it just had some wear to it, some steep climbs to it, and then as we're climbing, the first actual shed we found, which was like the little old school electrical shed, because there were power lines going up the mountain.
Yeah,
that was the first one we
had a
found.
little bit of a bunk bed, wooden bed in there.
I think that
kinda.
one was closed.
Maybe like a shelf or
I think
whatever.
that one, the first one was closed. We found
Oh, the one where we like split and we went.
two. Yeah, right
up
after we
instead.
hit that
Yeah,
first
yeah.
little shed,
Okay.
we came up to another point in the trail where the trail split. So,
Yeah, but when we got to that first structure, it was like, all right, let's rest, take a break, and see what we're going to do going further. But you two knuckleheads,
that was the
No.
second structure.
that was the second structure?
That was the
No,
second
because
one.
at the first
Well-
structure, you decided to go ahead, and me and another soldier were like, what should we do? Should we keep
Oh,
going
no,
further?
That was at the second structure.
That's
so
the second
so,
structure?
so we
Second
we all decided that we're like, okay, yes, we're gonna go left and we're gonna follow the trail that was in the app and we're gonna continue. Because that's when we reached the sign that it said
1,000-step
the
trail.
1,000-step trail.
I thought that was the
But
first
that was at
structure.
the beginning of it.
Yes,
of
at the beginning.
1,000 step.
Technically, the end, or
Was it then? No.
potentially the end. So on the app
Maybe
that
halfway?
I used, it said the 1,000-step trail ended roughly about there. On the Google Maps,
Okay.
because they do have trail views and, just based on public data.
Right.
So it said the 1,000-step trail technically kind of continued up and over.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So, but before we even got to the whole second house, we passed the first house. We said, hey, when we looked at the mountain, we were roughly halfway up the mountain.
Yes.
And it was still kind of, still doable. It was
Right.
rough, but doable. Then we came to the first fork in the road where we could have gone left or right.
Well, hold on a second here. Let's back up a little bit, because when we got to that structure, right, I stayed behind with another soldier while you
two.
guys went ahead to almost
Kind of scout
like
a little
scout.
bit. Yeah.
That's
Scout the
still
rest of
the
the
second structure.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
you're still talking about the first structure.
Before we got to the second. 'Cause
Okay,
after
okay.
the first structure, we hit that fork in the road when we decided to go right, where the trail basically disappeared, to get to the second structure.
Oh, yes. I see what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. My apologies on my memory fades.
No, it was
But-
a traumatic experience.
Yes.
Yeah, this is true.
Okay. All right.
So we came past that first structure. We hit the fork in the road, and
Okay.
we were kind of debating where to actually go.
All
But
right.
on everything we looked at, the actual 1,000-step trail, which is what we were supposed to be going on, it pointed to the right trail.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we decided, and mind you, that trail was, like I just said, it was a little bit less established, and it was almost straight up what's called a spur. So anything around land navigation, if you look at your two fingers, for example, right, your index and your middle, if you look in between your two fingers, in between your knuckles, that'll be the draw. That's a little valley that forms in between. So the spur technically would be like your finger. It's just a little ridge you're walking almost straight up in a mountain situation. So to get to the second structure that we did see visually at that fork in the road, we said, hey, let's just go right. Because that's what everything is saying. This is the 1,000-step trail.
Okay.
And from there, we went to that second structure. It was a long, hard fight to even get to that second structure.
Yeah.
It was
very tiring.
Yes, very tiring.
Once everybody got there, we definitely took a nice long break.
And we collected ourselves.
We collected ourselves. That's when the powder
Propel?
propel came into play, because we
electrolytes.
Yeah, we all definitely needed it. We're pretty tired. I wouldn't say spent,
man,
but we were tired.
At that
Yes.
point in time, it was still like 90 degrees. Sun is still overhead.
Yeah, we were drinking hot water.
Which is still better for your body to process.
Okay.
Yes.
So we get to here.
Mm-hmm.
We collect ourselves. You guys
That's when
decided to go further and scout to see where the trail is going to lead.
But you're missing a very key point.
What am I
though,
missing?
dear Gary. Why would we want to still continue going up the path if at that point in time that was where the actual sign was for 1,000-step trail? Why would we decide to go forward? The answer behind door number one is that if you look up from that point where that second shed was, it was still yet a higher point.
Yes.
And that was the actual viewpoint that, we've looked up on Google. We saw images. We saw people have actually gone up there, and it's a beautiful view. So at that point, we decided, hey, you know what? We're almost more than halfway there. Let's just continue going up.
Hold on. You guys, yes, half of us decided to go on. When I stayed back with the other soldier, as you guys went up, and I was watching you go further, and then we were talking on the cell phone to say, hey, we found the trail. We see where it continues to go up to the mountain to this other established
Viewpoint. Well, facility. It was a whole big radio tower.
I'm having a conversation, and the other soldier is saying, hey, Gary, listen. I think we should turn back. I think we got to a point where this is high enough, and not really go any further. But you know what? I'm gonna leave it up to you. Oof. So as winded as I am, right, with my shitty ass lungs, I looked at him, and I looked up at you guys, and I said, fuck it, man, let's go. Let's go.
That's the spirit.
And then he was like, all right. And then we started up the trail, trying to catch up to where you guys were, and just continue to follow you guys with Lawson in the lead, then Martinez.
Yeah, so again, at that point, it's not like a regular paved trail in the woods, at your local park type deal, little hill.
Right.
We're still climbing up at least a 30-degree incline, where there were some steps cut into the little mountain pass we were at. It was still very, very rough going up there.
Yes.
Oh, wait. There was also cacti.
Oh, plenty of cactus.
Oh, yeah, everywhere.
Yeah.
So Gary isn't the only one with some rough lungs. I've been neglecting my stair stepper at the gym, so climbing up that mountain, it was a challenge for me. And at one point, I went to sit down to just take a quick break, and I sat down on a rock, and there was this really pointy cactus. We definitely got acquainted.
Oh, yeah, stuck you right in the ass, didn't it? I think I was standing near you.
I never stood up so fast in my life.
Fuck yeah.
And then here I am with zero cardio in my routines. That helped.
Let's not also mention that you were born in that environment.
Yeah, I was really moving. I was excited to go up. The higher the better.
Jesus God, every 10 steps. I was like,
I mean, I was dying. I was dying, but
tough.
I wanted to get to that
To
radio
top.
tower.
I did too.
That was our
That was the radio.
that was our point. So,
And I felt the same way. Like, I got to do this for myself.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, as difficult as it was, as hot as it was,
Fuck yeah.
we're halfway there. That's no point to turn around. So at
absolutely.
that point where me and Martinez took that lead and went to go trailblaze to find, is it viable to keep climbing? We looked at the maps and
Quite literal,
everything showed that, if we get to the next trail, which the 1,000 steps supposedly connected to, it leads to a loop to the top of the actual mountain where that radio tower and viewpoint is.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another trail connecting that big loop of the summit that we could take down the other side of the mountain, because actually where that radio tower was and the complete opposite side of where we started climbing the mountain, there was a whole gondola set up. So you could take little tram cars up to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
So at that point, we were looking at it on the map and said, hey, you know what? We're not going to hike back down, because it was a very sketchy trail to even climb up going forward. So going back down, all the loose rock and the trail not being visible,
it's gonna be worse.
we decided, you know what, it's safer to just continue going forward with the established routes to the tram car, and then, take a taxi back to our car. And that was also why we kept pushing, because it was just unsafe.
Onward march.
We sure did. Onward march.
Yeah.
And we made it to the fucking top.
Almost. So as we, we kept climbing up, we hit those extra super steep stairs where you guys decided to follow us,
Yeah.
Once we came to a point where we met that second trail, and it kind of petered out. So it was a lot more easy going. Still a difficult climb, but you know what? A good hike. And we got to a point where we're at the top of the peak where the mountain on both sides meet. It's called the ridge line. We hit the top of the ridge line, and we were just slightly below that radio tower. So we decided, hey, let's get to this radio tower. We're almost there.
Yeah,
we're
fucking here. Yeah.
And that's when we followed the trail going.
Well, we saw the two signs, right? Is that what you're talking about at
that
that
was
point?
before we saw the two signs.
Okay.
We saw the trail. We hit the ridge line, and we saw the one radio tower and the second shack.
Right.
That's when we climbed down using the chain. And
oh, fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, right?
Yeah.
It was somewhat established, right? Because there
Of
is
course it was.
pictures.
There was something there.
There is, stuff to like continue on to your trail. Plus, there are signs not steering you away from those trails as well. Because then it said there was that sign that it said no trespassing beyond this.
But
or
when we finally
not a
got
trail
to the point of getting to the summit, to mind you, on that trail there were not enough signs for how
Yeah. No.
hit and miss that trail was.
Yes.
Just gonna
Fuck
point that
yeah.
out.
No, there was
So, but when we finally got to the summit, that's where we hit the sign of. It said if you go to the left trail,
that was Rangers Peak.
it was
that
closed.
takes you to the summit. But that was closed due to
no
maintenance.
trespassing.
And no trespassing,
Yep.
right? Once you get all the way
to
up
the
there,
top. So there's only one way to go. And what was it?
And
Jackrabbit Trail?
I think it was called
The sign
Jackalope
said?
Trail.
Something like that.
And
Okay.
that was the actual trail we decided that me and Martinez that, hey, when we get to the summit, we'll come back down and we'll take that trail back down
Around the mountain.
You know what? That's what I thought too. Like, all right, we're at the top. The only way to go is down from here.
Of course.
The other side, however.
The other side, yeah.
Please continue.
The safer side.
Please continue.
Technically, for us, it was the safer side. Because we did look at it on both my trail tracking app and on Google. You know, we saw topographical, we saw satellite imagery, and it was just that we knew the trail was supposed to be established. So
I was just following the leader.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to the top, I was like, to me, I made it to the fucking top.
Yeah. We didn't even make it to the full top, so it was definitely a letdown. But at that point in the day, I would say it was close enough to 6 o'clock. So the sun was going to be setting soon.
Right.
And we definitely had to make our way down the mountain.
Yes.
So from there, that's what it was. We're going to follow that roundabout, the whole summit loop, until we hit the trail to go down back to civilization. Unbeknownst to us, however, the reason that summit was closed, which also happened to be the whole tram car system was closed.
Right.
We assumed later that there was a storm that knocked out some of the power lines, but it also apparently knocked out some of that trail. So as we're following the only allegedly open trail, we end up coming to some really steep sections of the trail where it was almost maybe 1.5 feet wide at max on the edge of the mountain.
Yeah.
And once we hit that, it was like, okay, it's kind of sketchy. And as we're looking forward, the trail kind of appeared and disappeared along the whole mountain trail.
Right.
The whole side of the mountain.
You couldn't make it out, right, at that point.
You could, but you could make out some sections, but some sections disappeared. And at that point, we're in our head like, this is kind of suspicious. We need to really start thinking about how we're gonna get down this mountain.
Yeah. At that point?
Oh, at that point, I was like, crap. I think
at that point,
up.
I was nervous.
It was way too late.
I was like, there's no well, no, was it at that point?
That was before it was a no turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for you, there was a no turnaround point. For us, we were already past that point. Once we got to that second shed where the trail name was, it was already too late to turn around.
Yeah.
Yeah, because once we got a little past underneath the tower, there was a runoff of rocks, right? It was almost like a drain off or whatever,
type.
like very specific looking rocks.
Yeah.
Placed on the side of the mountain.
It looks like a drainage type.
Right.
So it helped avoid erosion of the mountainside.
But the trail apparently crossed over that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And you guys go first, and I guess so the trail was able to get across there pretty safely, and then we had another soldier go across, and then we had another and I was last.
Mm-hmm.
And by that time, there was no trail because these rocks were so loose. Now there's nothing. So now,
well, I would just like to point out,
okay, go ahead.
My 5 soldiers in total. I was the second soldier across. The third and fourth soldier, along with you, Gary. Mm-hmm. You guys did the rookie mistake of walking straight up, which just push extra weight and kicks all the rocks down, which is why the trail disappeared.
Okay.
Because after we went across, you take it slow, deliberate, and you're crouching down to help spread the weight along with your hands.
Disclaimer,
the trail was still there.
Disclaimer, I'm not a professional hiker.
Neither am I.
I'm a professional in the state of New Jersey, but expired everywhere else. I'm not a professional climber, but some things do kick in of, hey, you want to spread your weight across.
I wasn't thinking any of that. Okay.
Which is
I'm
fair.
like, okay, I'm going to get across these rocks, right? And I'm thinking that it's going to hold me. All right. First few steps. Yes. I took another 1 or 2 steps and started fucking sliding. And only thing I could see below me was just cliff.
The abyss.
And I started off high. I should have started low, like what you said, but I didn't do that. And when I started sliding, I fucking jammed my left knee right into those rocks and laid down, holding on, like please don't slide. Please don't slide. Meanwhile, I have the other soldier right across from me saying, grab my hand, grab my hand. And I said, shut the fuck up and let me collect myself and think about what I'm about to do, because I don't know what the next step, what it's going to do to me.
How it's going to react. Yeah.
How it's going to react. And I don't know, by the grace of the man upstairs or whatever, I fucking just lifted myself, took 1-2 quick steps, and I grabbed his arm and then made it to that side of that little rock and just sat down.
Yeah.
Just sat down and said, there is no turning back now, because I am not going back across those rocks. I'm gonna make it down this mountain one way or another. If I gotta fucking roll down this thing or whatever.
It was roughly at that point after you finally safely got across that, me and Martinez, we decided, okay, we're going to keep pushing forward, because now, like you said, there's no going back. Because after you 3 elephants walked across them rocks, it was no longer safe to go back.
Elephants?
So, I said what I said.
At that point, me and Lawson were definitely like, dude, we're in some shit, bro. Like, there was no words to exchange. But
we got to figure it out now.
Yeah, I was like, dude,
we're literally on the side of a mountain. It's not.
Oh yeah.
It's not level. It's steep.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? We're not mountain goats.
At that point, we were roughly 1,400 feet.
Yeah, I think at that point in time we were 1,400 feet in the air.
Are you sure?
We climbed 1,400 feet.
I thought it was higher than that.
You know what?
No.
No, I could have sworn we were like 3,000.
Oh no.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter. I was so delirious at that point.
We climbed a total of 1,400 feet, but now actual height.
Listen, at that point, all right, as Lawson is looking this up, at that point, my mind is saying to itself, I'm saying to myself, I gotta get out of here.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
we all definitely were at that point.
Oh yeah, because I was fucking. Now I'm fucking nervous as shit.
We were all nervous. Yeah. And again, like I said, there was no words to be exchanged or anything.
Between me and Martinez.
Because I'm like, we're fucking lost. Light and the sun was gradually going down. Yes. We were losing on that side of the mountain. There was no sun.
Right.
So at that point, it was getting closer to 7 o'clock, and sunset was about 7:30, 7:45. So as we were on the far side, I'll say the east side of the mountain, so sun sets in the west. So the sun was just starting to go down, not fully down over the top of the mountain yet, but it was close enough where you could see the shadow of the mountain.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But the only way was, we had hope
forward.
that other Jack Loop trail was down, the next bend or the next corner, and it's like, we got it. Like, again, right? Very, very shady, very sketchy, but there was still a trail to follow, right? And the moment that we would get to like a bend and you can see the trail, and it's like, okay, yeah, it continues. Like we just got to keep moving forward. Until there was no more.
Couldn't move, right?
Mind you, so before we got to the point where we could no longer go forward, and this is shortly after, Gary was the last one across the rocks. We came to a point where the trail literally became maybe a foot wide.
Yeah.
And it went to the right, then back to the left, almost like a little V. And at that apex of the V, it was super loose and super sketchy. And that's where we had our longest lasting experience from that hike, where the rocks were loose.
Yeah, we were like, we're going down.
Oh, no.
Okay.
You're overshooting.
All right, sorry.
That's where we had an injury occur.
Oh, yeah.
Wait. No. Was it before the decision to just say, we're going down this fucking crevice?
Yep.
It was right after you came off those rocks.
Yeah. Because I took lead because he Lawson stayed back a little bit.
Watching you gonna poop in my
Watching
brain.
me die?
Girl, I turned around to watch.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to watch. He
first. And then I stopped, like, I can't leave him. Like going through my head, it was crazy. Like, I didn't want to watch, but knowing myself, I couldn't say, hey, well, I didn't even watch. So I stopped and turned around to watch you. Martinez took lead.
Yeah,
bro.
I took lead, and I took
Bro, I
that
think I
first...
fucking shat myself.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. I took the lead a little bit, right, to go scout a little bit to see what was over the bend. I go down this one step, and I misstep on a rock. The rock leaned forward. There goes my foot, and it was coming off of a step. So when my foot slipped, I tumbled down, and I was like bent over the pretty much like the cliff. And I managed to stay on the path because I had your book bag. That saved me.
Let's just point out, not that you just slipped and stumbled. You actually ended up falling.
Yes, I did. I did.
So the weight of the book bag kind of like maybe held you back a little bit?
We ended up switching book bags because me and Gary are the ones who had book bags. But at that second shelter where the trail name was, we swapped bags to give us a break. Because at that point, carrying all the water and everything was rough. So,
it was a lot, yeah.
So after we get to the top again, like you said, you start scouting ahead. You took that step. You actually fell, though.
Yes.
And then how you fell is you slipped. You were almost like looking over the edge of the cliff.
Yes.
And the book bag, because you had fell, we were trying to lean back and stay up there. You ended up staying on the cliff.
Dude, that was... I thought I was done.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you know, I did get a nice big fall. I still, you know, I did get hurt.
You know what? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about this injury that you got.
So I fell right on the top of the rock, right? Like my elbow hit the rock, and I thought it was just, you know, a bad fall, and then you know, of course it's gonna hurt, right? It's a rock. I didn't think anything of it. You know, we got up, I brushed myself off, and we continued. I guess jumping a little forward, but once we started to climb down, I couldn't put pressure going down on it. I could hold myself up, but I couldn't put pressure on it. So I couldn't, you know, lean forward and reach out to any rock. It would like really, really hurt. So I could.
A good example, an analogy, or just explanation of that is like, for example, a push-up where you're pushing weight on something. Like you're pushing open a door, for example.
Correct.
A pushing weight was difficult.
Yes.
You know what? But us going down,
we didn't get there yet.
But no, I'm just saying, nothing of it was giving. So as you said, like you were trying to support yourself, there's nothing that's going to give to help you ease that. Everything was fucking rock and boulder.
Well, that's why I decided to turn around, right, to go facing down. No, we're not facing down, but
let's not jump.
Yeah.
So
a little jumping forward.
I'm sorry.
Your edge gets a little bit too hard now, Gary.
I'm sorry.
But go on. Yeah. So I did fall.
Had a quick tumble.
I did hurt myself, but I just
made that little eye contact. Like, oh, hey, you know, it's loose here. Let's be careful.
Yes. And I chucked it. You know, I thought it was just a bad fall. But then, you know, we continued on, and
like what, maybe 50 feet later, we decided we need to go down right here.
Yeah. Which was the safest assessment, honestly.
Mm-hmm. See, you guys were ahead of me. That's why I only know what I know. So how you got hurt before we went down, I didn't see all that.
Nobody saw that.
I thought that happened later.
No, nobody saw. I mean, I did slip again, and then I still fell, but that was much lighter than the one here.
Much, much lighter.
Yeah.
Because how he felt, he really was like, I turned around, and I see him on the ground, like, over
see, there you go. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I am jumping ahead because I only know what I know. You know?
Correct.
That's kind of the insider secret of nobody else really was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once I like recuperated and I see the cliff over, and I'm like, oh shit! I lean back.
So the whole time?
Yeah. The whole time we were
right after you passed those rocks.
The whole time,
literally right after
he
that.
was hurting.
Yeah.
But now onto the descent, right?
Right.
Like I said, almost 50 feet later, we decided, hey, the trail completely washed out, going over the next hump of the mountain, how it's supposed to be, where the trail to safety is. It's completely washed out.
It wasn't there.
There's
nothing there.
There's nothing visible, and it's completely unsafe for us to go across. So that's when we decided, hey, you know what? It's not as steep right here, and there are these big rocks sticking out of the mountain that looks like footholds, and we could go down this mountain right here. And we had no choice.
That was the valley that we decided.
Yeah, but in the distance, what did we see?
We saw the terminal for the little gondolas.
And a road.
We saw
road, yes.
civilization.
And a fucking road. And we were like, that is where we need to be.
That is our goal. That is
That's
our
our
goal.
goal.
That's our mark. We need to reach it. We need to reach it. But yeah, we started our descent. Try to...
Oh, by the way, running out of water.
Yeah,
Which we did.
I think at that point we didn't care about that. We just wanted to get off that damn
Pure
mountain.
adrenaline.
I
at this
cared
point.
about it.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
of course. If we were to like stay stranded, yeah.
No,
I
even not
was
being
gonna-
stranded. Because so as we were halfway down, I decided not to take any more water because, like, mind you, my mouth was all dry and gummy. I started having cramps going down the mountain.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't telling
remember.
anybody, but like I decided, hey, let's save the water for them because I know that water is a commodity. As again, it's still 90-degree heat, straight sun overhead. Heat will get to you, but water was definitely a hot item.
Yes.
yeah.
But then that's what I'm saying. Like when I was going down, I guess maybe a good visual would be like a crab walk moving forward, right? Crab walk. That I couldn't do. So I had to turn around in the same like crab position and then
104.
feet, yeah.
Like a
feet,
dog.
Feet first going down. And then, my arms holding up, in case I needed to hold myself up. That was the only way that I was able to do it. Because I couldn't put any pressure on it. And again, I thought it was just, regular, just bruise maybe.
Yeah,
But
bruise, a sprain, or
Yeah.
something light. So, for the record, I did end up finding a picture of our elevation change, and we climbed a total, but yeah, we descended 1,300 feet in a span of half a mile.
So how would you calculate that into maybe like
See, I could give you an angle,
degree?
a degree
It
angle
was
for the
fucking
hill.
steep.
I
was
could
steep.
I could give you math stuff. However, I joined the army, so math is not my strong suit. But just know that 1,300 feet and half a mile, mind you, it's not like a straight incline. But if it was again, I would say give her maybe 45 degrees.
Sheesh.
Being generous, it really isn't. It could be worse or
Yeah.
better. But on that descent, it was almost straight rocks. Like we had these really big boulders, even, not even rocks.
And it did look like maybe like a river was there at one point, maybe.
Man, I don't
like
even know if that was
carving.
even there,
It's just,
man. I don't think any human
runoff.
was
It was
there
just,
for the last since BC.
It's just runoff from top of the mountain. As
Yeah.
time happens, water and sun, wind erode the mountainside.
Correct.
The rocks just tumble down. But we just crawled down that crevice,
Steadily, slow and steady, right?
slow and steady. There were some times where again we had almost like a 30, 50 foot straight drop, where we had to be really technical about picking our way down, hoping to find a foothold, hoping there's no snakes or spiders. 'Cause
Fucking yeah.
I'm deathly afraid of spiders. I don't care. I see a spider, I'm screaming like
Are you
a little
running all the way
girl.
down the mountain?
I'm jumping straight like a cartoon character. I'm jumping sideways off that mountain straight down. But we were hoping there's no spiders, there's no no snakes, just wild, anything that could be hazardous to us. Because as you're climbing down, again, you have like 50 feet beneath you of straight rock. You have to be really methodical about picking your way because there's nothing to save you if you slip.
Yeah.
Every step, you have to make sure of it. You're testing.
Has to be calculated.
Yes,
And-
you're testing
yeah.
everything that you're stepping on, every rock, every whatever it
And
is.
that's when we started with realizing Martinez. He really couldn't put his weight on
Yeah.
his arm, and it was definitely
But you know what? There was no other. What other way was there?
Yeah.
It's just
and,
down.
I mean, and then I figured it out, right? I couldn't put pressure on it, but I could hold myself up. It wasn't that intense where, I at that point, I mean, I was still, adrenaline kicked in and everything was going on, but
let's not forget a couple of times we had times where you slipped and you're like, oh my god,
Yes.
shit. So that
Yeah.
adrenaline is just nonstop. I think for almost a good hour hour and a half.
Oh, absolutely.
Almost
easily.
we were climbing down.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
entire climb went down.
I
It was-
think so too. I think the entire climb down.
Yeah. It was intense. It was quite an adventure. I'll
Yeah,
tell
but you know what?
I'll tell
That
you
was an
that.
adventure.
Fucking making it down, and that road was getting bigger and bigger as we getting closer and
Closer
closer.
and
was
closer,
fucking
yeah.
like, we're almost there. We're almost there.
But you know what? Here's where I'm gonna, come in and be that bad guy, because as we were getting closer and closer, at that point I was for the most part in the lead, and I was trying to pick the best routes down, knowing that Martinez, his arm is in it. I've seen you guys were falling behind with the last three soldiers.
There was another one that also fell.
Yeah.
And
He slipped
messed up
and
his wrist.
he slipped, fell backwards, hit his wrist, but luckily he is young enough to just pretend like it never happened.
Right, bounced right back.
Yeah.
But him included with the other two soldiers,
Thank you.
they were just completely super far behind
The
because
two old men.
instead of paying
Yeah, for
attention
real.
to what's going on, they were chit-chatting in the back.
Right.
Oh, no.
There were a couple of times where we've had to stop and wait because you guys weren't.
I had to take a break. And as I took a
Not
break,
just
we
that,
were
you
like,
guys were like, oh no, don't go this way. No, you
No,
should
no.
go this way. And
I'll-
it's like, dude, we just went down. Like, try this
do
side.
you know what a lot of that conversation was at any time that we took a
Martinez,
break?
how much conversation did we have? Except when it came to
None.
a really steep.
I don't
Yeah.
care what you guys had. All I had was somebody yapping in my ear. I told you we should have turned around. I'll show you we turned around. This is no good. This is no good. We shouldn't be doing this.
Well, too late now.
It was too
Yeah.
late at that point, but that was
It was
all
too
of that
late.
going
Okay.
It
down.
was too late, like hours ago.
I was like, dude,
Oh, absolutely.
dude, let's just keep fucking going. That's all I kept wanted to do. Just keep going and going.
and that's fair. I'm not giving you too much grief for it, but I'm still
a
gonna have
little
to
bit. A little bit.
I'm just gonna let you know,
A little jab.
Okay, whatever.
because also when we got down to the end, even before, like right before we got to the road where that was where that really big, like 50-foot almost drop came in, and me and Martinez went down one specific way all the way to the right because it was the safest. But you decided not to follow us. Actually, all three of them decided to go halfway up, and it was really, really sketchy for you
Fuck
guys
yeah, the fuck. You know what?
because you didn't listen. And that's
is true.
That's why I'm just gonna.
All
give
right, maybe, and I didn't listen yet.
because
and
you saw the road, you saw the station. You're like, we're
Yep.
so close. Let's get out of here.
Yep.
Oh, all the way
You're
down.
right.
I thought you were talking about that one that we still did have to drop down, but then there was like a rougher way.
It was a loose dirt.
A rougher way to come around. It was like
There were two. I'm just talking about the last one, the
Yeah,
big
yeah.
red V.
yeah, that one.
Yeah, the fucking loose dirt. He took the high part, which probably
the-
On
was
the right side, and that was the safest.
that was the
way
safest.
down.
But you know what? I'm sorry, but
You got
So,
suicided.
you-
Complacent.
So you kept saying to go further down. I didn't see the further down safer because it would have
to go
just
up
been
to the road?
Yeah,
See, that was separate. I mean, right before we even got to that point,
Okay.
after we all climbed that big red V down, that again, the last three soldiers went middle of it, and when we went all the way to the
Oh,
right
okay,
and
yeah,
walked
yeah,
down,
yeah.
that was that part. So afterwards,
oh yeah.
afterwards, when we got to the bottom and it was literally just looking up at the whole tramway,
Right.
I climbed up and it was super looser. I almost slipped and fell a couple of times.
Yeah,
That's when I said, "Hey, don't come up this way," because it didn't make sense.
yeah. I once you went through it, yeah, it was pretty sketchy because that dirt was
Yeah, it kept just tumbling
beyond loose. There was
Yep.
no grip in anything.
But from that vantage point, that's why I saw that the ground started becoming a little bit more flat.
Okay.
Not much flat because
Yeah,
we
yeah,
also
yeah,
on the
yeah.
mountain.
Right.
It became flatter further down. And then it came to the
Yeah.
point right underneath the tramway where there was a drainage ditch, and
Okay.
that's when everybody started climbing up.
Yes.
And that was the most loose dirt.
Oh,
like there was
absolutely.
no perches.
Shit, yeah.
Nothing
I mean,
was
look,
good.
Martinez wears like a fucking $120. He fucking was able to skim across this fucking little path, and I'm thinking, here
I
I
was
am.
dying.
I can do the same thing, but that's
Listen, no, I was shifting down. Every step, like wherever I would try to grip, being careful not to put my hand in any cacti.
Cactus.
Yeah,
Like some
like you
people.
know, yeah, yeah, Gary. I would still slip. You know, it would just completely slide down, and I was
And it was very so. There came to a point where I had to actually, because I passed that drainage ditch off the backside of the turn
Right.
away.
Okay.
And I decided to backtrack to it just because there was nothing else stable. And so I decided, like, there was a really thick piece of rock that I ended up jumping onto. I had to jump.
Okay.
Keep that in mind. I jumped onto, and it was solid, which I was praying it was because, again, I jumped.
Yeah.
I jumped.
There was a couple of pieces of rock that I would grip on, and they would just completely come off, and
Yep.
then it slide right
And
through.
I was doing that the whole way up the mountain,
Sheesh.
to the tramway.
Right.
So when I jumped to that solid piece, again, I was thanking everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
And I climbed up from there. But by then, you guys were already coming up the mountain, not listening to me.
No,
Everybody's
no,
they're just
you're
so
right.
fixated on the
Yes.
the trail is here. We're safe. We're
Fixated.
safe.
I'm seeing the gondola. It is there.
It's there. Yep.
It's there, and I'm trying to traverse.
Listen to the wrong people.
Listen to the wrong people. I'm trying to get across the same path along this very loose dirt, trying to grab those same rocks that you're saying, yes, they're not like stable enough
Right.
to hold myself to get across.
So the key with some of those rocks were too, they were stable enough for you to grab and step off of, or grab and push off of, for one person,
Yeah.
which was part of the issue.
Yeah.
Well, multiple people going up the same way, it was sketchy.
Yeah. Once I saw the same thing. Once I saw that tram station, and I saw him there, and I was like, I gotta make it. I gotta make it. It's literally right here.
And you did.
And
To a certain extent, you got
Yeah.
past that point.
and then I climbed the fence. He was like, "Oh, let me put down," because there was a ladder there.
That I ended up finding because the way I climbed up after I went up the little drainages, I went all the way to the right because I was avoiding all the cactus.
Right.
And I didn't like at that point my legs there was barely keeping me up, so I didn't trust myself to try and climb that wall. So I went further down, like 100, 200 feet down the road, and I climbed over at a blank spot, which I got lucky to find.
Yeah.
Then I backtracked to the end where the drainage ditch and the whole retaining wall was that you climbed up. And
Right.
lo and behold, there was a ladder.
There was a
That's
ladder
when I
there,
said, hey,
yeah.
let me-
Thank God.
I pulled that out. I threw it over the way. Yo, come on.
Yeah, but
let's
wait
get
a second
everybody
here.
up.
Even as you guys were doing
just
all this,
jumped up.
that's when I again was on that part of that loose dirt,
little
sliding
drainage area.
down, and I slipped. The loose dirt just made me slide down.
The loose dirt
and
was
I,
loose.
and the loose dirt was loose, and I landed on my hands on a fucking cactus. Pull my hand up so fast, lay down, and it's like blood squirting out of my fucking hand. All over the place. I couldn't fucking stop it. Now, guess what? I'm a little bit in panic mode right now. Because, like, I'm sliding down. How do I fucking get off now this fucking loose dirt to get where you guys are? And there's blood. I'm wiping the blood on me. Trying to, like, fucking stop this. I shove it in the fucking dirt. Right?
And it
I
stops.
leave it there. The fucking dirt stops the fucking blood. I got to get off this real fast. And again, here I go, leaping again.
Yeah.
Manage to get across, get myself up to the top, and
That's
to the
when the
savior
ladder
of the fucking ladder you guys threw
But
over.
I would just
because
like
I
to-
had no strength to get over that wall.
I would like to point out, the old adage of rub some dirt on it.
Yeah.
It worked.
It worked out.
Fucking worked.
It worked.
It
But yeah.
did. It did.
But that's the whole story of,
Man.
we climbed
And then we
down
sat on the benches at the end of the gondola like,
and just laughing.
Yeah, it was
We
that
fucking
nervous
made
laugh.
it.
That nervous laugh. Like, dude, we almost fucking died.
yeah.
We almost died, but we're here somehow.
Yeah, and then we called an Uber to get us the fuck out of there.
It was the longest 15 minutes
Man.
in silence. We were just sitting there waiting for the Uber to come pick us up. Like,
So
damn.
glad.
Pulling
we-
cactus pricks out of everybody's hands.
Yes.
for like a day or two.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That
Was an adventure.
was definitely an adventure.
Like
and
I almost died.
And then,
Yeah.
oh, literally.
Like, what's the name of that show?
There were some parts of
I
that.
shouldn't be
I
alive.
shouldn't be alive.
Some part of that mountain, and so pictures and camera, they never really do angle
Oh,
and all
man,
that
they
justice.
never.
We got some pictures where if you're looking at it, it's almost, let's give it 80-degree climb, the rocks, and it's just slick rocks.
Yeah.
80 degrees is like maybe too much, maybe 65, 70 degrees. It was just super steep, and it's like, well, what the hell are we gonna do?
Yeah, but
Well,
we
we did
find out afterwards that we actually hiked the hardest trail over there,
Yes.
right?
The hardest trail.
The hardest.
The
Yeah.
hardest one.
And then
Novices, sneakers,
Right. Hey,
Right?
They held up.
they fucking did.
They
Didn't
held up.
Ugh.
So, but to finish it off, right? We actually went out to eat dinner of a delicious steak that night, right? We went back home. I couldn't lift my arm higher than my chest. So I was like, you know what? Let me sleep it off or whatever, right? Slept through the night, and then in the morning, I couldn't do anything with my arm. And I was like, nope, I'm going to go get it checked out.
Yeah.
Show up to the ER, get some x-rays. And then after the x-rays, they didn't say anything. They sent me to CAT scan. So I was like, great. That's not good.
Well, they got to see what's wrong.
In CAT scan, they put me in this weird position because I can't lift up my arm anymore, right? So they managed to find a compromising position where I could hold it, and they can take
you a compromising position.
went my hand like this.
Anyway.
And they do the scan, and as soon as the doctor comes back in, he was like, "Well, that's one way to do it." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "It's fractured." I was like, "No." He's like, "Yeah, it's fractured. It's separated. It's a clean break. Just wait for the doctor."
That's
So, dang, what an adventure!
Yeah.
Now you got a bionic arm.
Now
brace.
I have a brace.
On the bright side, now we don't have to park at the end of the parking lot. We just get you a little.
So a handicap sticker, and we can
The
hey, we
handicapable
don't have to walk
sticker.
that far anymore.
Not making
Yeah.
light of anybody, just, he's one of them now.
Right.
I mean, in hindsight, man, I felt like accomplished, like I fucking did something. You
In
know what I'm saying? I
hindsight,
achieved something.
I
right?
would still take the route we did again.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there was a trail before it rained out.
There 100% was. It showed it on
Will I go back?
topographical.
No.
Oh, absolutely
Way.
not. I mean, I don't know. I would go back,
Nope.
but just maybe
Nope.
take a different trail.
No, I'm gonna take a walk in the park over here. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what? Again, the beautiful thing about it is that that's just one of it numerous experiences we had.
That is
And
true.
The sad thing is that average people, again, I'm not saying we're the most in shape people in the world, but we are of above average standard for physical
Yeah.
fitness, and we did it with minor injuries. I did it with no injuries,
Yeah.
Well,
that's true. It could have been. It could have been
a lot worse. The average person, that's what I left the review. I said some choice words and I expressed these sure to be fixed, but I'm concerned for average people because the average guy, just hey, let's go look at this trail
Let's go. Let's
without
keep going.
knowing any better, and you know what, they could potentially get hurt.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was pretty. Yeah, definitely.
But even so, I mean, that's not going to stop me from hiking. I love hiking.
Oh,
I
no,
love
yeah,
going
yeah,
out.
yeah.
I love, getting to the top of that mountain. I love, just looking back and just seeing the city, just on the ocean again, like Hawaii,
Right.
or even in Europe.
Yeah.
I hiked a lot. I've seen a lot, and I love it.
I actually have some pictures from Germany where it's just like rolling hills, but it legit looks like the wallpaper from like Windows 98.
Huh.
It looks perfectly just like that, like clear blue skies, that bright green grass, and it's the hills in that shape, and it is beautiful. It is a sight to see. That's for sure.
Listen, I'm just gonna keep myself on solid level ground with a cocktail in my hand on a beach, looking at the water, and you guys can
You
do
know
what the
what?
hell you
Oh.
want.
You
beach.
should definitely just follow me, and I will lead you to victory.
Follow me.
Follow me.
Mobility. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm definitely grateful to the Army for giving me the opportunity
Without
to
a
have
doubt.
a lot of these adventures. That's just go hiking.
Not
we
only
spoke
that-
about today, really.
Yes.
Not only that, I agree with you 100%, but it's the company.
That's what makes
That's
it.
what makes it.
Yeah.
You know,
the company helps. Again, I've been places. No, not to discredit the company.
The company helps.
I just want to specifically highlight the opportunity because, like I said, when I went
yeah,
to school
yeah.
in multiple locations, I went up to Fort Drum by myself. I've been to, Virginia,
man.
Fort Lee by myself. I've been all over the country by myself, and I still go hiking, and I love it. It's just the opportunity given to me because of the Army.
Yeah,
That even if at home, I have a local park by me that I do go to a lot. Like I like to barbecue there. I like to go out, just be in the nature. Just go. It's a really good walk through the park, but it's a paved trail,
Right.
But so with the Army, I do have opportunities to go and actually go hike and go explore and then get that elevation. I get to see
more
and experience more.
I'm
grateful for that.
I agree because I wouldn't have seen a lot of this country if it wasn't for.
I think it's Lawson's fault because when we were in Riley, we took a little trip with the.
I'm sorry, I wasn't with you guys.
With the electric scooters, and I also slipped and fell.
Oh, so yeah.
Took a tumble.
Isn't that that could be a story for another time?
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
it's night. Yes.
At the end of the
I
day,
think we're gonna call it a wrap for this.
But remember this:
Yeah.
it's not about the adventure.
It's about the journey.
It's not
It's
about the
about the journey.
destination. It's about the journey.
Okay,
The friends you have with, and Lawson will lead you to victory.
I love you both.
Yeah. Well, on that note, this wraps up sip number 3. We're in sip number 3.
Nice.
As usual, thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at The Reserve Pour. If you have comments or questions, shoot us your emails at podcast@thereservepour.com. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.
That's the show. Fuck this shit.